Tesla's Cybertruck was by far not the first electric pickup truck on the market, but within its first year of production, it might quickly skyrocket to becoming the best-selling electric pickup truck, which is kind of weird considering how far of a lead Rivian and Ford had on Tesla, but we're basically looking at some of the numbers today, thanks to Tesla being totally comfortable with lots of people flying drones over their Giga Texas facility. Joe Tegmeyer has been able to spot lots and lots of Cybertrucks coming out of the factory. He's suggesting that based on the number of trucks being spotted coming out of the factory on a daily basis, Tesla's already close to a run rate of about 900 or 800 Cybertrucks per week. And Troy Teslike is already collecting DMV data on VIN registrations for the Cybertruck and noticing a exponential growth curve when it comes to the number of trucks coming out of the factory. And the craziest thing about all of that is at this point, Tesla is still just making Foundation Series Cybertrucks, which means yes, every single Cybertruck that comes out of Giga Texas right now is selling for a minimum of $100,000. Most people are probably going for the dual motor, but if there's even just a 10% take rate of people opting for the tri-motor, those are all selling for $120,000 a pop. You can thank Franz for that iconic exterior design because clearly a lot of celebrities got on board with the Cybertruck as more of an art form than it is a utility-focused vehicle, but I think it's kind of the best of both worlds because channels like Dirty Tesla have showcased how so many everyday people want to run up and take pictures of the Cybertruck even if they're not that interested in EVs. It's just so iconic and so different and so unique. It makes a lot of people want to ask more questions about it, and simultaneously it's being used for work. There's lots of people that have been buying Cybertrucks specifically for their on-the-road type businesses. I ran into one personally at one of my local superchargers, and he was using it as an IT support vehicle. He had lots of stuff loaded up into the bed, and of course, because the Cybertruck is so eye-catching, he also doubles it as a little bit of advertising for his brand. He's by far not the only person I've seen using the Cybertruck as a work vehicle, and simultaneously as Tesla is ramping up for the Cybertruck, when it comes to Rivian and Ford, we're seeing, unfortunately, almost the exact opposite. Rivian has already confirmed that they're going to be shutting down their Normal plant in Illinois in order to make factory upgrades that should increase the profitability of the R1 vehicles, but at what compromises, we're not exactly sure yet. I'm personally hoping that Rivian has like a secret plan to adapt NACS a lot faster than we originally thought, and they do that during this factory shutdown. I hope that ends up happening, but it's probably not. But there should be about a month-long period where there's no R1 vehicles being produced, and Rivian has also issued guidance saying that they don't expect to grow vehicle deliveries this year. And while they don't report R1S versus R1T deliveries separately, Rivian has said in the past that about 2/3 of the R1 orders are for the R1S, not the R1T. So if the R1T is going to have shutdown production for a month and there's not going to be growth this year, while Tesla's growing very, very fast and publicly stated that they're also not cell constrained for the Cybertruck at this time, building enough 4680 cells to supply 1,000 Cybertrucks within a week. And of course, that ramp is just going to continue to increase. And while a lot of people look to the Ford F-150 Lightning as the classic work truck option, Ford is not seeing too many people buying the F-150 Lightning, I'm afraid. I really wish that the supercharger access would turn demand around, but Ford sadly has had to cut production on the F-150 Lightning by over 50%, and it was already not growing at the rate they projected it would. It's hard to see because I want all of these electric trucks to do well and succeed in the long term, but with Rivian cutting back production because their vehicles are not very profitable, and Ford seeing weakening demand, and I'm also guessing they're not making much money on the F-150 Lightning, it kind of paves way for the Tesla Cybertruck to have a killer 2024, cranking up Giga Texas and doing what Tesla does best, which is manufacturing efficiency. Not the build quality. You know, there's definitely some questionable panel gaps and build complaints we've seen on the Cybertruck, but despite all of that, they're having no issues with demand because they're still sending out new waves of Foundation Series Cybertruck orders, and occasionally they let you accelerate your delivery through the referral program. More recently, they were letting long-term big Tesla shareholders take delivery first. So it was a very, very long wait for the Cybertruck. I know, it was a painful 4 years of waiting for next year, maybe next year, maybe next year, but seems like all of this time Tesla had to develop the Cybertruck assembly line enabled them to maybe not perhaps create the best overall product, but it did allow them to make what I think is the most scalable, profitable product because you got no paint shop to worry about. And unlike all these other electric trucks, Tesla's got the smallest battery pack at just 123 kilowatt hours, and by simplifying the assembly process just with one battery pack for all the trims, just a dual motor and a tri-motor, all the interiors are the same, that allowed them to scale up Cybertruck production like no other. However, in all of these performance performance tests that Out of Spec has been posting, I gotta admit, the Silverado EV definitely seems like at least the winner on paper. It's got the big frunk, it's got faster charging than the Cybertruck can currently hit, it's got a midgate so you can extend the bed in the back, and an EPA estimated 450 mile range. Tesla's not even close to that with the Cybertruck, and I'm guessing with the range extender, if that ever happens, it's still not gonna have a great charging curve compared to the Silverado EV. But the big problem with GM making the electric Hummer and Silverado with these giant battery packs that can charge really fast is they're not very profitable. And in classic GM fashion, they're not ramping up production very much for these things. They already delayed deliveries of the Silverado EV. So far, they've only delivered it to fleet buyers, so pretty much no one actually just independently owns one. You can only rent them or get them from GM as like media material. And they claim that they want the Silverado EV to qualify for the federal tax credit, so it's going to be under $80,000, under 80 grand for a vehicle that's got a 200 plus kilowatt hour battery pack. Yeah, I'm sorry, there's just no way those vehicles are profitable. And while you may not care whether or not they're profitable to the brand, it does incentivize GM to deliver as little as possible. And of course, they're still working off the dealership network, so if there's a ton of demand for them, the dealers will reflect that probably with price hikes. And so far, there's basically none on dealer lots, and the data GM has given us so far suggested that they built and delivered a little over 400 in the entire fourth quarter of last year, which means a little over 100 a month. And I hope that that production continues to ramp up, but it's gonna have to ramp up a lot more in order to catch Tesla, which is targeting, 800 to 900 a week and having no time finding buyers. It's the same kind of story with the Chevy Bolt. As soon as they figured out how to mass produce it and lots of demand started pouring in for it, that's when they scrapped it and said, okay, hold on, we're gonna have to rethink this because they were just losing way too much money on it. It's a great product though, which is a shame. Just the insane range it gets, it's probably the best electric truck on the market for towing. Cybertruck kind of sucks at that because it's relying on the smaller battery pack to be more affordable to produce and more scalable. But I think there's a very real possibility that by the end of 2024, there's gonna be more Cybertrucks on the road pretty much than any other electric pickup truck, which is kind of nutty to think about considering how radical and weird the design is and how much it stands out compared to everybody else. But whenever Tesla runs out of buyers for that $100,000 foundation series, they can easily just switch over to start building the dual motor option, which qualifies for the $7,500 point of sale tax credit, and then they've got no dealership model to worry about, and boom, you've got a $70,000 electric truck now. And personally, based on how cheap Tesla went on the interior from what I've seen, I think there's a good chance that they could lower that price further if the demand is needed. But what do you guys think is going to happen in regards to the electric pickup truck space? Feel free to comment your thoughts and predictions down in the comments below, and thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly. Seriously, helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. So thanks again. Have an excellent rest of your day.